Cohen was murdered in his own residence. It is a gruesome murder.
I don't know what to say. What do you want me to say?
Sarah, you understand the judge? Yes, I do. How do you plead not guilty?
It's disgusting what happened.
September 24th, 2019. A somber day in Nairobi, as a small group of mourners lay to rest Tob Cohen, a high-profile Dutch businessman whose life was brutally taken in a manner that shocked the nation. As the mourners gathered at the Jewish cemetery, the air was thick with grief and unanswered questions. How did a man who once thrived in Kenya's elite circles meet such a gruesome end? What led to his body being found in a septic tank, hidden away in his own home? In the days leading up to his death, the tension in Cohen's life was palpable, a storm brewing just beneath the surface, threatening to erupt. This is the story of how a successful, well-connected businessman became the center of one of Kenya's most sensational murder cases.
Kenya is a wonderful destination. There's 42 golf courses, the best weather in the world, the best nature, friendly people, English speaking, and I welcome everybody to come to Kenya and to Africa.
Tob Cohen was a Dutch national who moved to Kenya in 1987. He was a successful businessman, known for founding and managing Philips Electronics East Africa, and later Tob's Kenya Golf Safaris, a popular tour company specializing in golf tourism. Cohen was well respected within the business community and had established a comfortable life in Kenya.
Kenya is a wonderful destination.
Cohen married Sarah Weramu, a Kenyan woman, and the couple lived in a luxurious home in Nairobi's Kidisuru estate. Their marriage, however, was reportedly troubled, with numerous conflicts and allegations of infidelity.
You cannot understand how I've known my husband since I was 23, for 30 years.
Then on it was like war, and before you know it, he has happy moments and sad moments, and then I could see he was using a lot of whatever it is that he uses.
And you cannot tell me that I did not exist. You can't tell me that we didn't have a life together.
He was all over. He would go to every table and say, I am so and so, this is my home, and that's my wife and my daughter, and I'm going to divorce them. He kept on saying that the whole night.
In mid-July 2019, Cohen was reported missing. Sarah claimed that Cohen had left for Thailand to seek treatment for depression, but his sudden disappearance raised suspicions among his friends and family. Cohen's sister, Gabrielle Van Straten, who lives in the Netherlands, was particularly concerned and began pushing for a more thorough investigation. As the days passed, it became clear that Cohen's disappearance was not as straightforward as initially believed. Friends reported that Cohen had confided in them about fears for his life, and the police began treating the case as a potential homicide.
We played golf together just a few days before he disappeared, and he was very, very, very concerned about his life.
Sarah was questioned, but denied any involvement in her husband's disappearance.
He never hid the fact that if anything happens to him, if he is found dead anywhere, Sarah, his wife, would be responsible.
Dutch national and golf player Tob Cohen has been found. After going missing for 54 days, Cohen's body was retrieved from an underground tank within the compound of his Kitisuru home, which he shared with his estranged wife, Sarah Wairimu.
On September 13, 2019, detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, made a shocking discovery at Cohen's Kitisuru home. Acting on a tip, they searched the compound and found Cohen's decomposed body inside a septic tank.
The body was found here. The hands and legs were tied, the nylon rope going over the neck. Tob was dressed in a pair of blue jeans and a brown jacket. He looked like someone who was ready for an evening out.
It's unbelievable what she was possible to do to him. I did see his body. It's terrible. I don't know what the word is, but it was with ropes and I don't know what. I'll spare you all. I don't know what to say. What do you want me to say? It's disgusting what happened.
The discovery of the body confirmed the worst fears and turned the case into a murder investigation.
From the onset, when this matter was reported to us, I immediately ordered this place to be preserved as a scene of crime. Cohen was murdered in his own residence. It is a gruesome murder.
The details surrounding the murder were gruesome, with reports indicating that Cohen had been tortured before his death. His hands were tied, and he had sustained severe injuries.
These people are heartless. Absolutely heartless. I don't know if it's money or even it's, domestic strife. It cannot move anybody for sure to go to that extent.
Following the discovery of Cohen's body, his wife Sarah was arrested and charged with his murder. The DCI stated that was the prime suspect, and evidence gathered during the investigation pointed to her involvement. The motive was believed to be linked to financial disputes, particularly over Cohen's substantial wealth and assets.
Sarah Wairimu, the widow to slain businessman Tob Cohen, denied charges of murdering her husband. Appearing before High Court Judge Stella Mutuku, Wairimu, who was finally allowed to take plea after being held in custody for over a month, pleaded not guilty.
But for now, I'd like to assure my colleague, the prosecutor, it is not Sarah Wairimu Cohen who is responsible for that money.
Sarah's defense team claimed that she had no involvement and argued that the case was based on circumstantial evidence and that there were other potential suspects who had not been investigated.
In fact, from her own words, the case has developed and things have happened. It shows that an accused person was held in order to enable them to conduct their investigations, rather than for them to finish their investigations.
If I can, with all due respect to my learned friend,
As the investigation continued, another suspect was brought into the spotlight, Peter Karanja, a businessman from Nakuru.
Polisi wamemkamata Peter Karanja aliyekuwa mumewe mbunge wa Gilgil Martha Wangari kuhusiana na mauaji ya kinyama ya bwenyenye wa Uholanzi Tob Cohen.
Peter was arrested in connection with Cohen's murder and was accused of being an accomplice. It was alleged that Peter and Sarah had conspired together to kill Cohen.
Wapelelezi katika kitengo kinachoshughulikia visa maalum vya jinai na mauaji watachunguza malipo ya M-Pesa na mawasiliano yote yaliyofanywa kati ya Wairimu na Karanja kabla na baada ya kifo cha Cohen.
The prosecution claimed that Peter had assisted in the planning and execution of the murder, and there were suggestions that he and Sarah were romantically involved. Peter's involvement added another layer of complexity to the case. He was charged alongside Sarah, and both were required to take plea in court.
Sarah, you understand the charge? Yes, I do. How do you plead? Plead not guilty. Mr. Karanja, you understand the charge?
Yes, I do.
How do you plead?
Not guilty.
They did 99% of the search. And then Judge Kinoti walked in on the Tuesday and asked Sarah to show her house. And she took him from room to room to room, including the garden. And when they got to the garden, something very interesting happened after they had seen this manhole. which is 5 meters from where the body was found. Somebody announced that we have done enough for today. We shall not continue this search today. We shall continue tomorrow.
The case faced several delays, partly due to legal maneuvers by the defense team. Sarah's lawyers filed multiple applications, challenging the evidence presented by the prosecution and questioning the conduct of the investigation. They accused the DCI of mishandling the case and violating Sarah's rights.
It was focused. They knew exactly what they were looking for. I should tell you this. If Sarah was not there, another person who was showing them the place, I've seen the name of a mystery man. That mystery man should have been the one saying, this is where it is, or some other person. There was only police officers who knew what they were looking for. I go back 2 days. On Tuesday, after the search was concluded, Inspector Otieno, Maxwell Otieno, who is one of the investigators, said, since we have not concluded our work, we require the keys of the house. Up until then, the appointees or the servants of Sarah had the keys.
One of the key points of contention was the admissibility of certain evidence, including the text messages and phone records. The defense argued that this evidence was obtained unlawfully and should be excluded from the trial. These legal battles contributed to the case's prolonged duration, with numerous adjournments and hearings.
My lady, yes. How long, if I were to allow you, how long would that take? We will need about next week. You come back next week to confirm.
The case also brought to light a bitter family feud over Tob Cohen's estate. Cohen's family, particularly his sister Gabrielle Van Straten, accused Sarah of attempting to usurp Cohen's wealth. They claimed that Sarah had been estranged from Cohen for some time and that she had a history of making threats against him.
He never hid the fact that if anything happens to him, if he is found dead anywhere, Sarah, his wife, would be responsible.
Sarah, on the other hand, argued that she was entitled to a share of Cohen's estate as his legal wife.
He's always said he will not divorce me because if he divorces me, he would lose half of the house. So I was like, supposing I feel like divorcing you, we'd have those conversations. Yeah. I think when you marry someone and for long, you sort of adopt them, they become your children. So he's also part of the management.
The dispute over the inheritance became a parallel battle, with both sides accusing each other of dishonesty and greed.
So confirm to you that the will was opened in presence of the brother Bernard and sister Gabriel and her husband Ryan, and the contents of the will are now known by the family.
Sarah Wairimu accusing 3 of his relatives of forging his will so as to disinherit her.
The legal fight over Cohen's estate added another dimension to the case, further complicating the court proceedings.
Avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord.
On September 24, 2019, Tob Cohen was finally laid to rest. His burial, held at the Jewish cemetery in Nairobi, was a solemn and heartbreaking affair. Family, friends, and members of the Jewish community gathered to bid farewell to a man whose life was cut tragically short. As the sun set over the gravesite, the air was thick with grief, yet filled with love for a husband, a brother, and a friend. His wife, Sarah Wairimu, though accused, was granted permission by the court to attend the burial, standing amidst the mourners as tears flowed freely. It was a final, poignant goodbye to a man whose legacy would be forever entwined with questions that seemed may never find answers. As the investigation deepened, shocking revelations emerged that would further muddy the waters of this already controversial case.
Antai is a person of interest in the murder of a Dutch businessman, Tob Cohen. The judge was arrested on Friday morning at his current home by DCI detectives attached to the homicide unit.
allegations surfaced that Justice Sankale Ole Kantai, a judge of the Court of Appeal, had a personal relationship with Sarah, the widow of Tob Cohen. This relationship allegedly began before Cohen's disappearance and continued during the investigation.
As a person of interest in the Tob Cohen murder case, he is alleged to have coached main murder suspect Sarah Wairimo on her witness statement. The suspect had reached out for advice in case she was caught by police following her husband's death.
Investigations revealed that Justice Sankale and Sarah had met multiple times, even as the investigation into Cohen's murder was ongoing.
Sankale was in Kisumu attending a workshop where he was joined by the main suspect in the Cohen murder case. Investigations revealed that Justice Sankale paid for Sarah Wairimo's ticket to Kisumu using M-Pesa.
Communication records indicated frequent contact between the two, raising serious questions about a possible conflict of interest.
And the two exchanged intimate messages. In one instance, the judge wrote, "Good morning, driver left 5 minutes ago, he is coming for you," while Sarah replied saying, "Okay, love." Later, she wrote back saying, "Hi, hon, I have checked in and now the long wait to boarding." The judge then replied, "See you soon," and attached a kiss and love heart emojis.
The most explosive allegation was that Justice Kantai had assisted Sarah in crafting her defense strategy, potentially influencing the legal proceedings in her favor.
When Sarah Wairimo flew back to Nairobi, she scanned copies of the media coverage of Cohen's murder and sent them to the judge before she went to record her statement with the police the next day. Sources say that she asked for a soft copy of her statement, which she immediately sent to the judge, saying, and I quote, "This is what the police have recorded. Peruse, add and or remove what is necessary and return." End of quote. The judge received the copy and then sent a copy to the suspect, who took the copy back to the police station.
This added a new layer of controversy to the case, leading to public outrage and calls for a thorough investigation by the Judicial Service Commission. The Kenyan public was outraged. The idea that a sitting judge might have influenced a murder investigation cast a dark shadow over the judicial system.
Detectives will not relent, and there is expectation that there will be more arrests touching specifically on the courts of justice.
In March 2022, the case took another unexpected turn.
Director of Public Prosecution Nordin Haji had applied or has applied to withdraw murder charges against Sarah Wairimo Cohen and her co-accused Peter Karanja. In a letter dated November 29, that's yesterday, Haji says that his office lost interest in pursuing the case against the two, and Haji wants the matter to be handled via an inquest.
The charges against Sarah Wairimo and Peter Karanja were being withdrawn due to insufficient evidence. The DPP also pointed to flaws in the initial investigation conducted by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI.
Proceedings, criminal proceedings.
In an online court session, Assistant Director of Public Prosecution Wangoi Geshohi told the court that the move has been occasioned by inconsistencies dotting evidence presented from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, citing former Head of Investigations Bureau John Geshomo. According to the DPP, the inquest will enable the contradictions that affected the case be heard in detail by all parties.
There were concerns that the investigation had not been conducted in a manner that would hold up in court. The withdrawal of the case was done under Section 87A of the Kenyan Criminal Procedure Code. This section allows the DPP to withdraw charges against an accused person before judgment is delivered. Importantly, withdrawal under this section does not amount to an acquittal. It leaves the door open for the prosecution to bring charges again if new evidence emerges. Following the DPP's application, the court formally withdrew the murder charges against Sarah and Peter. This meant that they were no longer under active prosecution for the murder of Tob Cohen, although they had not been declared innocent by the court. The decision to withdraw the case was met with mixed reactions. Tob Cohen's family, particularly his sister Gabrielle Van Straten, was outraged by the withdrawal of the case.
The application was objected by Cohen's family lawyer Cliff Ombeta, who told the court that the application was not made in good faith.
My lord, this is where again your permission comes in. You need to know what this is all about. You can't be overlooked because ultimately we are coming to you and you're the one to give the final word about it.
The family accused the Kenyan legal system of failing to deliver justice and expressed frustration at the lack of closure.
They might have the article in their favor, but to stop this kind of abuse we are talking about right now, this is why we come to you.
We are not opposing because the law gives the DPP the power to make this application. But equally, the law demands the DPP provides reasons in writing to the victims.
Justice does not only go towards the accused person, it also goes to the victims.
The Tob Cohen case remains one of Kenya's most controversial legal battles. It exposed not only the complexities of a high-profile murder investigation, but also the vulnerabilities in the criminal justice system. As the nation reflects on this story, the haunting question remains: will the truth about Tob Cohen's death ever truly be known?